Give an update of my vegetable garden. I don't often do this. I usually stick to the fruit trees, but just because there's so much vegetable garden content out there that I don't really have much different to offer except for a couple things which I'll show here, and some tips and tricks that I've really enjoyed over the years. The first one right here is the radishes. So behind the zinnia flowers here, I've got some radishes which were planted early in the season. It's July 7th now, so the garden's almost in peak form. But what I wanted to show is I leave these radishes on purpose to flower and go to seed. And well, we eat some of them, but a lot of them we don't. And what is really interesting is these seed pods. So pretty small still, but they will get a bit bigger. There's some really big ones down here. That's almost too big, but just at this small size, they are excellent eating. And really like them better than the radishes themselves. They taste like radish, they're crunchy, and yeah, they're super good. Better than the radish themselves. So it's a great little snack. They're spicy, they're crunchy, they're excellent. For my tomatoes, let's hop off the bed here. There's probably hundreds of different systems on how to stake tomatoes, but I've had the best luck with these rebar stakes. So depending on the variety, they're either 8-foot high stakes or even taller for the back ones here, but mostly sun sugar cherry tomatoes. That's what we eat the most. So there's a couple regular tomatoes. This one here is Jasper. I don't know if I showed last year, but they can get as high as 18 feet up these rebar. So these are 10-foot rebar lengths, and I even have to add PVC pipe above that to get the full length. And you certainly don't need that to be productive. It's just interesting. These are Jasper, these last two varieties. They're a pretty good red cherry tomato. Really vigorous growth. Probably our favorite one, those the sun sugar for eating. Probably have 6 or so varieties of those. We do have a couple dwarf apple trees in the garden too. The Sweet 16, there's a Liberty behind it, and I have a Williams Pride on the other side. Back portion here is a tropical section. Certainly not in its prime now. It comes into its own in August. The fig tree, I've showed some footage of that before. It's really lush and green. It got off to a great head start. There's some tiny little figlets in there. It's been a little bit slow with the slow spring, but I don't know if you can see right in the crotch there's a tiny little figlet starting. So we'll see if there's enough season for them to ripen. Cucumber trellis, it's just a length of cattle panel, and then kind of just wire the cucumbers up that, and it keeps them off the ground. They'll grow straighter and not sit on the ground, so that's worked fairly well for me. Some pea trellises back here, just sugar snap peas, which are everyone's favorite to just snack on in the garden. Some sweet peas on this trellis, onions and Swiss chards and lettuces. Actually, a lot of the lettuce, you can see it sporadically throughout the garden. We just let that, after we're done eating as much as we can, and when it starts bolting we leave it, and it goes onto the compost pile when it's fully in seed head. And then as we spread the compost through the garden, lettuce pops up everywhere. So it's a pretty interesting self-seeding approach to just having lettuce pop up wherever, and it's a pretty cool weed. Got some fruit on the side of the garden here. There's a rose there. There's some tropical hibiscuses which aren't coming up. I wonder if they've suffered winter damage. And then there's a couple of blueberries in there too. Some grapes. So we've got a couple different grapes around the edge. Behind that, some kiwi and currants in that back bed back there. Some raspberries, more tropical stuff. Some blueberries in the garden there. There's the Williams Pride apple, and some carrots. And on the back, at the edge there, some blackberries back there. I've planted some new raspberries. They're going to be the early red variety, Prelude. So they've just planted these behind the peas there, so they'll be coming up shortly. Fall Gold, probably my favorite raspberry, so a whole bed of that there. And let's look at the garden. The bush cherries are at the back there.